Hey everybody, Mature Simmer here. So welcome back to Cry Off, and as we're working the farm here, I'm just, bringing you along. So continuing to finish getting this field plowed up with the goal of being able to get it planted right away and get, I think, some oats in the ground. I honestly don't recall what my thoughts were last I was in here, but looking at it, I think that makes some sense. So just going along here. If you're new to the series, welcome. Thank you for joining. Definitely planning, likely to be here a long time. It's an Own the Map challenge is what I'm doing. First time I have ever done this, whether offline or on a series on the channel. So this is all new to me. So I have no idea, no scope of reference about is this really possible or am I going to be going crazy as I continue on. But this is what I've decided to focus some time on for Farming Simulator, really to some degree to replace the multiplayer environments that I had been in before. Not because I don't like the multiplayer environments, but they operate very much like single-player instances in most cases. You just don't have a lot of interaction. There may be some folks watching this who have some experience currently in FSN, which is a community that I had been in before. I certainly see some of the things they're doing. I know they're doing what they're calling next gen, and there's more potential things there, but again, they're more extraneous items that are tossed in around Farming Simulator to create this fantasy of some sort of world. But having worked in that or been part of that community at one point, I determined for me it just wasn't workable because there were too many things that were started and then kind of just abandoned. So anything, as you might expect in the world, that's kind of the whim of one grandmaster, whether it be someone like the individual Hans who's running FSN, or Elon Musk, or as anyone like that who kind of just does what they want to do and isn't real interested in what other people want to do. You've got to be comfortable with that. For some people it's great and it creates this excitement, but for me it created more chaos than joy, and so I'm not in something like that. But others have basically, all the communities, so Farmers Only Club, which I had done most recently, and I'm still part of, but am not active in, mainly because at this point they don't really have any FS22 servers anymore. So if I wanted to do multiplayer with FS22, I can't do it there, and realistically I can't really do it anywhere unless I just kind of set up my own and find some people to play with, which I'm not really interested in going through that effort and so forth, because to some degree what I've discovered being in those communities is, yes, it does end up just being a lot of, you're doing things on your own. Once in a blue moon you might all agree to get on a harvest on a weekend or something. It's fun. I mean, it's absolutely a blast. Way different experience of Farming Simulator. So if you have the opportunity, by all means, go take care of that. But my life, real life schedule and situation is such that I really can't, realistically do things. So pretty sure I've got all my fields set. So, and yeah, it shows you how much I'm paying attention. Yeah, I was planting oats over there. Not plowing. It just looked like a cultivator, so sorry. I just jumped in. I have a short window, and I really want to get you guys some additional content. Wanted to get some stuff in here. So at this point, this one is... okay. So this one is not planted, so we'll go ahead. And this one, hopefully, I can do some stuff on where I don't have to drive it all. Alright. So, going along, this field is able to be seen by Courseplay. I'm, not trying to hide the fact that I am utilizing that. I tend to do that pretty regularly, and for something like this, where we're going to be, potentially just trying to constantly work something, it's kind of a lifesaver, because it's just, it's fields as rough as these are here, and I think, obviously this is probably likely very common in areas of Europe, and people just plow the field up. It's not straight and perfect. We don't have tons and tons of space like we do somewhere in Nebraska or whatever, and so you make do. And yes, not everybody's going to have GPS and going to be able to do things, but the goal is not, as I said, that it's an own the map challenge. It's not a realism challenge. Just not a fan of that. It's just not a play style I enjoy. To me, it's to use the gaming term, it's very grindy, or just it kind of doing it for the sake of doing it. Like, I know I've done that kind of stuff. I've worked on that, and again, in some of those communities, especially like FSN, you're not allowed to use helpers. FOC does allow you to do things, and so that was one of the draws, aside from the fact that they had everything way, way, way more automated than FSN ever did. So I'm not going to get into all that again. If you want to get into that, you can watch some of my early FOC content that is out on the channel. Just go look for the playlist. What I do try to do for the folks that join the channel or follow the channel and are regular visitors, I try pretty much without fail to put every video I put out into some sort of a playlist, so you always know what it's really about, and more importantly, if you're interested in whatever it is, you're not trying to figure out what's attached to what, or looking for titles, or having to search all over. You'll always have a playlist, and it'll be on the Discord as well. I try to diligently keep up with that, at minimum on a weekly basis. Sometimes I get further behind, but usually I'll go put the video announcements out there and so forth. So with all that said, this is probably a good time to just go ahead and toss in the one call to action you'll ever get from me, which is please consider liking and subscribing. These things greatly help the channel, are greatly appreciated, and the more we grow, part of what motivates me or excites me, I'd be doing Sims one way or the other. I just share it with the community, because I love talking to people about what's going on, and I love getting opinions and stating, kind of to some degree defending what I do. I had one recently on Tower Companion where I thought somebody was not happy with how I had explained things in a video, and so I explained, this is how I look at this. I understand there could be other opinions, but the reason you're seeing what I'm seeing, what you're seeing and hearing from me, what you're hearing from me is this. They mentioned, I wasn't specifically talking about you. They were in essence agreeing with me with some of the challenges in communities and what people create. But and so it's similar in Farming Simulator. The reason I've chosen not to go to Farming Simulator 25 is I really have gotten to the point, and again, I've got a few random videos that aren't. Those are probably the few things that aren't in playlists. where I basically kind of did one-off, hey Giants, you might want to look at what these other companies are doing, and here's why, and with the hope that someone in leadership there would see it and be like, this guy makes sense. This is stupid of us to put out a game every 3 years and start everything over again. But that was basically it. The phrase I kind of used regularly is, companies like this, they force you to fall in love with everything all over again every 3 years. It's like you have this relationship, you're loving what's going on, and then they're like, we're going to start over. We're going to trash everything we have in the name of, hey, maybe there's a bit more clouds in the dirt when you plow, but you're going to lose all the mods you love, and you're going to have to wait and hope that they show up again. And the maps you have and whatever, and you're basically starting with a brand new game. There's a potential money thing there. I'm guessing that's honestly what most of it is. But as a customer, then, you're consciously making the decision to go through that. And as we sit here about 9 months after the release of FS25, one of the things I still do on the channel is mods worth noting, which is, kind of gameplay things, quality of life things that I would target or I would use, and that I did use when I was actively on the current version. But I still look for that in 25 and provide that to the community, like, hey, this looks interesting, this looks like it'll work. The thing you then won't see, unfortunately, because I'm not in Farming Simulator 25, is you're not going to see me use a mod specifically in 25. But I think most of them all still work the same way. I was in 19, I was in 22, so I've gone through a change, and I understand the process. And having understood that, I've just decided I can enjoy Farming Simulator without upgrading. And so that is why you're seeing me here in Farming Simulator 22. But I would say this is very, very similar to anything you'd see in 2025, other than maybe, depending on what your druthers are, you'd be like, ooh, it looks better in 2025. It does a little bit. But to me, it's not worth it. So, and again, I'm not saying I won't ever buy another Farming Simulator, but at this point, it's very, very unlikely that I will ever own 2025. Will I perhaps entertain owning 2028? Maybe. Because, then it's 2 iterations, and it's like, all right, I've gotten, 6-7 years out of the other one, really enjoyed my time. But the reality is there's so many things that do get put out by modders, and that is what makes this game wonderful and takes it from good to great, is not Giants, it's the other folks. Giants creates a platform. Alright, so let's stop this here, and we'll get ourselves set up. But yeah, with these, all right, so, and this again is part of the fun of trying to figure things out when you're trying to learn a farm. Okay, why normally it would be, there we go, I guess I had to stop all the way or something. I've never normally had that much difficulty reversing. I'm pretty sure I haven't suddenly forgotten the controls that I've used for years and years and years. But yeah, so maybe more headlands. And again, usually I do 3, but I thought with this field, I'm like, it might not work. So this should line me up and get me going, and we'll be good to go. And so, yeah, I'd have to go back and look at one of my recent mods worth noting, but either last week or in the week before, there was literally something that I was like, I swore this was already out, but it's showing up as 1.0, and wow, it just showed up now. And again, that's end of June, early July. of 2025 when the when the version of the game basically came out in November. So, you know, it's not quite 9 months, but we're pretty much, you know, it's close enough for government work type of thing. But anyway, that is why I'm doing this in 22. Is, you know, when I'm doing Farming Simulator, I'm going to do it in 22, and I feel there will be some people who will watch who will be like, yeah, I'm still, it's Farming Simulator, great. It's not the newest version, but hey, it's Farming Simulator, and I kind of like how the guy talks about things, does things, whatever. I mean, again, you know, I do realize a large part of, you know, how much viewership this series gets is going to be, you know, do you like me as a channel, as a content creator, where I don't do what a lot of folks. All right, so again, so what I probably, the problem here is, all right, so we need to lower that, put that down. The problem here is I need to get through here, and this is where you have a problem with courseplay a little bit, in that, like when there is a problem, there's not a super great way to fix this. I've got an idea. I'm gonna try something, so let me go off camera here in a moment, and we'll see what that looks like. See if it works. Yeah, I'm just worried I might have had a problem. Well, I know what I'm gonna need to do here, so bear with me. I'm basically gonna have to, alright, so basically what I'm doing, and again, this is where I think this becomes helpful, and, you know, we'll see how this series plays out. Right now, my intent is that I'm going to kind of show you what I'm doing, kind of as I did in the online multiplayers, because again, there was no way to skip time, do whatever. Like, so I would just record what I was doing. So you're going to get a little look into the background of the world here. So basically, all right, so it's going to end up here instead of finish. So what I'm doing is, you know, you can see the path here. Now it started here instead of somewhere else with 2 headlands, but basically what I did is reprocess the field with 3 headlands. And so at this point, what this should do is I should be able to then get in here. So what we do is come down. So basically the green dots are the way you're headed, the red dots are then they're going the other way. So it's coming back around on this 3rd headland, kind of what we did here, and then it will turn and go there. And so let's see what we latch onto here. Nope, that's not what I want, because it is not 235. So I'm going to drop some things down here, and I may need to basically... So I'm having to manually fix some things, is what you're obviously seeing, to allow it to get back on track, and then where I can just let it do its thing. The way you do this on a PC is you're using the delete key to bring up courseplay, and then as you saw, I was just hitting the eyeball and all that. Now again, because I'm on precision farming, I'm leaving this on because it's not dropping seed and wasting seed. Okay, but what I have here then is I can turn around, and what I want to do is get kind of online here. And let's see if this takes it. Alright, so it should. Now it'll put this down, and it should be driving this line. Now that probably means it's going to miss some, but we'll see. But now it should be turning around, so I'm going to get rid of this so that you don't have to watch it, but that is what it does. And now that I have it, now it should run, And unless, again, I get stuck on some trees or whatever, which could happen, I should be okay until I get really close to the edge and we're running into issues over there. But yeah, I'm basically doing, a half an hour episode here and there. And right now, I think I'm just going to toss things in as I do them. And so, yeah, you're going to see a lot of episodes that just are lingering on the same day because there's a lot of work going on. I'm always open to feedback. If people are like, nah, you need to do stuff offline, you need to work the whole thing. The problem is what that turns into, to some degree, is another piece of Hills of Tuscany, which, again, I'm not intending to stop either. It's just that one has gotten to the point. That's a VIP series that I do, and I love the VIP Order Manager, but for an on-the-map challenge, that would drive behaviors that aren't, I don't think, aligned with what I need in on-the-map challenges. And on-the-map challenges, I just need to work my fields and make the most money I can with them, which just means, especially in the beginning, I just need to grind out crops and just get stuff going, where it would tell me, oh, I need these 5 different kinds of crops, and then I'd be having to buy equipment and things like that to work through that. So that is why you don't see a VIP order manager on here. But if I'm doing a lot of things offline, that's what's happening there, because I have to work all the fields and plant them all, and it takes 8 hours to plant them all. In this case, it might still take 8 hours, but in this series, because it's, in my mind, meant as a replacement of Farmers Only Club, you're going to kind of start to see some of that. Now, I had backed off on some of that with Farmers Only Club, where I would show you, the work. But again, I was forced at that point to run all those fields in 3 days because the servers ran in real time. In this case, I have the luxury of, hey, I only have an hour to do anything today, so, or half an hour in this case, and or so, and so I'm going to do what I can. And then the time doesn't go by, and I don't, where normally I haven't played, or I haven't been in here in a week, I would have nearly lost an entire year on a multiplayer real-time server. So, it's to be upfront, yeah, this is going to be more just, you're enjoying watching the tractor move around in the background, and just whatever I happen to be talking about while we're in there is really what's going to be happening here. It's interesting how that went. That's intriguing, but maybe, yeah, so I'm going to have to touch things up. That's normal in Courseplay. It's the nature of the beast. It's really good at what it does, but there's still corners that don't work well, or we just deal with it, which we may in this type of series. But at this point, I just need to get things planted, and I'll likely plant the little small straight ones I have, 78 and 79. I'll probably just run those myself because I can run straight rows, and it's simpler. Eventually, I'm sure I'll get a tractor. I'll either put GPS on this tractor, because that's the other thing that makes this difficult to want to drive right now. I don't want to invest in GPS this year because I want to buy some more fields and so forth. So, but anyway, yeah, that's kind of the situation. But right now, what I'm thinking is, get everything planted in oats. And obviously, again, because they're small fields, you're just doing a lot of things. Now, certainly, potentially, the argument could be made, if I'm having GPS and I'm running this field more in line with the field, as opposed to how Courseplay has chosen to do this in diagonals. And I don't doubt that the math or whatever shows that this is a more efficient, like there's less passes on the field than doing it the other way. But, if I went straight up and down the long way here, like, yeah, I'd be done in 8 or 9 passes, and I wouldn't have these short turnarounds that take a while. I mean, the benefit now is there isn't much on the edge, and so, it's turning, it's not getting hung up on anything, thank goodness. Ooh, big hill there. Interesting. That is not what I expected. See what you can see. Like, the turning radius is challenging. I think it'll work, but no, it's going to have to back up some. And this is where, again, I'd rather have Courseplay do this perfectly every time than me sit there and play with it by hand, and I'm just not, nobody's that good. They're just not perfect. Where this will pretty much be perfect, but as you saw, it was running into the wagons. Like, sometimes it doesn't know where there's obstacles that it can't deal with. We might have a problem in that culvert in a little bit, because we don't go way off the field, but where it widens and we get to those 2 pipes under the road, that may be too much. I don't know. See, but this, it lets it put it down. It doesn't require you to back up, but now, we're going to start getting to some longer passes here. So this will work out nicely. But I have learned I should just do three headlands with this implement, and that's a bit of the learning that you're always doing. And the challenge on a Polish map like this is you just can't really get bigger equipment, because you're not going to be able to get it around the map. And so that is where, if you want to say realism, that is where some realism comes in here, in that, sure, I could, use mods that allow me to do things I shouldn't be able to do, like pick up my tractors by hand and plop them somewhere or whatever. Like, yeah, I could make it work. And sometimes, in certain series, I will do that just to not drive myself completely batty, because, again, if I'm not having fun, the content I put out is not going to be fun. If it's just like, this sucks, I hate going, I'll usually just, give it up and be like, all right, we're ending this series because it's not fun anymore. It doesn't happen too often. I'm usually I have pretty good perseverance, but I'm human too. If I've got limited time and I feel I'm wasting it with what's happening and I'm not getting enjoyment out of it, that's something very different. And there's things you can do, like, there are mods that will let you hide things that are placed on the map. So, like, those wagons are placeables. I could go in and delete them, and I may choose to do that at some point. I'm just, the story would be the farmer moved them, because you saw the struggle I had with the field last year, and he said, I'm not going to make him do that. I'm going to park them somewhere else. But, it doesn't let you move them. Like, I'd have to do a map edit, and that is something I've never learned, other than I know it's way beyond the time I have available. So it's not something I've gotten into. And I greatly, greatly appreciate the efforts of folks who do design maps and so forth. And I love using them, and I thank them. The modder for this map, thank you for creating it. And they do it similarly to why I do things and why I produce content. Hopefully it brings some joy to folks, and they enjoy it, and these guys create maps, partially, I'm sure, because they want the map and they want to use it. But then putting it out in the community gives them joy, because they get to see and hear other people tell them, yeah, I love this. This really, I was looking for a map like this. This is what I liked about it, and whatever. So, but now we're kind of going in, at least we're not running into things, and so my hope is, I don't know that it'll clear those wagons, but it's going to be close. I may go ahead, if you'll bear with me, I'm gonna go ahead and probably let this play out. We're gonna finish this field, and I'm gonna try to get the other one planted. But obviously, we're already basically right about now is when we'd be at the half hour. I'm hoping we can be done in an hour. I don't know if that's gonna happen or not. But that is my goal of getting this done and then quickly doing those other 2 fields, and then at least the next thing will be something different. We'll be fertilizing, I'm sure, because that's, I think, what we're going to need. But this takes a bit of time to do these tiny fields, and that's the challenge with small fields. And honestly, maybe what I determine is why, because I searching YouTube, again, people may just be really bad at naming their videos or something, but searching YouTube for own the map challenges or OTM challenge, whatever, I think I've literally found 3 series that exist. So this is not something that people do a lot of, at least not in YouTube content. And to some point, it may be it's not what they enjoy, and therefore it's probably not what their followers enjoy. Because again, what I see a lot of and what I don't like doing is people who will do 10 episodes on a map and then move on to another map because people are bored, they want to see other maps. That's fine, but there's plenty of channels for those people. The folks I'm catering to would be people who obviously think like me and are like, no, I like to stick with somebody and I like to see what they're doing. I've watched folks like the Millennial Farmer on YouTube for, going on 5-6 years at this point. He's on his same farm. He works his same fields. Nothing is changing. It's the same. But I just enjoy seeing what's going on with him. And there's always sometimes a challenge. Like, they had a storm blow through and destroy a lot of buildings on their farm, and they had to put in a new building, and they had to do other stuff. I mean, stuff happens. And sometimes stuff doesn't happen. It's not like I was sitting there saying, oh, I wish something would get destroyed on your farm, that this is getting boring. No, I just enjoyed watching. And I'm hoping this is a virtual version of something like that, where someone's like, no, I just like, spending time with this guy and seeing what he's doing, whatever he's doing, and, I'll have it on in the background and sip my coffee and whatever, and look up every few minutes and see where he's at. And in the meantime, it's like listening to a radio station or something. So that's why, to some degree, yes, it is a stream of consciousness on these farming simulator videos. There's really not much else to do. Telling you, okay, we're turning around now. We're going to line up. Let's go ahead. I can't turn any sharper than that. All right, we're gonna come over here, and we're gonna line up. And now I'm gonna have to back up so that I can get this row started. Almost there. We're just about there. Yeah, that looks good. So let's go ahead now. All right, we're at 1,050 seeds. Let's see, we're gonna get done in 5 liters. No, we're gonna need more than that. 6 liters, 7 liters. Let's say 7 liters. Let's go with 7. Yep, looks like I'm right. All right, so now we're ready for the other row. We're gonna have to turn around. Is the wagon gonna be in the way? I'm not sure. Let's see what happens. So here we go. Yeah, I think I'll be all right here. And then, we'll use one coming back, and we probably still have 4 passes. Maybe 5, maybe even 6 here if I really try to look at it. Backing up again. Well, I gotta go a little bit more. I'm just being real careful. All right, let's put it down. Yeah, right about there. All right, let's go again. Yeah, other than that, that's kind of what I could do, and I don't think that would be very exciting. If it is, you let me know. Like, say, hey, whatever time this is in the video, like, do that. Do that all the time. Like, I want to see an hour and a half of you telling me about what you're doing in every row. Like, that's not normally the nature of things. Because it's farming, and it's repetitive, just like most Sims, which is kind of what I've indicated. I mean, you're not going to be watching things on a Sim channel because you want excitement and things that are unexpected. So, you know, people trying to turn things into that, it's just, it doesn't make sense to me. It certainly doesn't resonate with me. Like, I don't go look for that. When I started out in the beginning, I was like, yeah, let me look at who is popular, who's got a lot of followers and whatever. And unfortunately, yes, I've determined that's not the type of content I want to put out. You know, like it or not, you know, this might be my deplorables comment. You know, that'll make sense to US viewers more than anybody else, but I'm thinking it's a lot of, you know, 8, 9, 10-year-olds who are watching those channels who just like the screaming and the fake excitement. Did he stop? He didn't yet, but right. So this is again where we're going to have to intervene. So I'll get myself turned around, and then again, I'll probably have to do it for the other one. And now you'll see, you know, this is why I let Courseplay do it versus me, because I am going to take probably far more effort. Of course, I'll do it perfectly now just because, but, you know, so yeah, it wasn't too bad. But I'm probably going to take far more effort than they would to get this done. Yeah, I think it's going to be just a little bit more than one width there. It might work. We'll see. Because that's the thing, going from the extra headlands and having a totally different start. Like, these may not really be aligning. Obviously, they are the same angle that it generated that layout, so it might, but it's going to be really close. But yeah, you know, and I've had comments from people, but going back to what I was talking about, that they're like, no, I enjoy what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. I don't like those other channels for the same reasons you don't like them. I don't like the fake excitement and screaming and, you know, what's going on, blah, 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 you know. And again, they'll get on with their friends and they'll be running into each other and, you know, giggling and whatever. You know, that appeals to a certain type of audience. It's just not the audience that's going to hang around and watch my stuff, and I understand that. So, right, so I can pull in, and again, I didn't leave the field when I turned around before, so this may turn around and do this one piece, and I will let it do that, if it will. Looks like we'll be alright. Alright, cool. So we'll get this done, and then, yeah, I'll kind of decide. I mean, because really just leaving a little bit of the corners, it's really not that bad. It's kind of these two corners here. And yes, the corners at the end are bigger. I may fix those, but I don't know that I'm going to waste my time and worry about the ones over here. Because in the end, like, it's not a survival challenge. I don't need, you know, the $10 or 10 euros that's going to get me from doing that. Yeah, I suppose the one thing that will be nice is, okay, so now I do want to stop because at this point, now I don't need it to go through and plant where I've already planted. So we're going to go, yeah, see, so it's just this corner up here, and this one really isn't that bad, but we'll get some of these done. I mean, I may just go up here as a turnaround and be like, sure, we'll plant that because we did. But I'm not gonna, make a big effort to do much more than that. And since I'm here and already have it down, I'll now take care of this, even though I said I wouldn't. And let's see, can I get that? And then I'll go get this one, and then I'll get that one, and we'll be done with this field. So that gets me there. And that gets me there. And now we'll do that, pick this up, and then yes, I do need to figure out. So I think if I go through here and come up the drive over there, that'll get me to 79 the nicest way. Oof, that tree's really in a bad spot. Ah, shoot. So these are the games we play, and I'll play it for a little bit, but this is where sometimes it's like, I'm gonna do something else. Wow. I don't even know that I can plant 79 nicely. See, this is where it gets tempting to just start to destroy your farm. Because what ends up happening, it's like, oh, if I just didn't have that tree right in front of me, I could just keep going. And I could. And I probably still can here. So I will. And this is where GPS helps, because like it would keep me on a straight line, where otherwise I'm not on a straight line. And then I'm having to drive, and it's different. Alright. So that again was the harvest that's splayed out here, so there's not really a reason to go right back, so I won't. So we'll put this down. Oop, we might have planted a little in his field, but he'll figure it out. We'll get here. And again, it's 3 passes to finish this field is going to be my guess, which is crazy how small that is. And I may decide again, like, this is just not worth it, and this may become a field I never work. I don't know. But again, we've got situations that are definitely not simple, and this is part of the fun of, of just, because again, if I'm a farmer and I am figuring this out, like this is exactly what I've got to do. Is like, what am I going to do with this field? Am I going to work it the way I think, or am I going to work it a different way? So let's see. Let me do that. And again, I'm only going to fight this for so long because it just isn't worth the little bit. But see, now I got that, and so now I can just go here. And again, the benefit with precision farming is it's not going to overplant. It's not going to overseed. But now I have to go here. Now I have to back up. And so if you think about the amount of effort, like, the question is, I mean, this is small enough that I might remember, but it's like, okay, we're gonna spend, I don't know, it's probably really, honestly, isn't more than 5 minutes. Like, yes, I am not gonna go back and do that last little bit. It's just not gonna happen. But yeah, for that little bit in the field, is it worth planting the field for? We'll see what we get off of it. I'm almost going to be surprised if I get more than 500 liters. I think I'll be amazed. I'm half tempted to say if I get more than 200 liters, I'll be amazed. But it may be more productive than that. I don't know. Alright, so I need to pull a little further forward than I did. Kind of put it down here, and then we're not going to be, in theory, infringing on his his field. And again, I can go by, I can see the trunk. It's possible my cab will get stuck. It did not. And so the issue is, again, what do I want? What can I do? Can I get this planted? Can I go around? But, you know, and that's the thing, like, Courseplay for some reason will not normally do these kind of fields. It will still do the diagonal. And to me, that doesn't make sense. So that is where I think Courseplay does have a problem. Now, there may be a setting that would make it work the other way. I don't know. And again, to me, like, doing a headland on this end makes no sense because I have room to maneuver. And again, because I'm not being insane and not doing crop destruction and all that. Because again, that would be very, very difficult in these situations. And yes, there may be, like, I would entertain that for a little bit. Like, maybe I'll do an episode as I get further along on this and I have more fields, where I'll be like, okay, now we have enough of our own fields, like, now I'm gonna start being respectful of my neighbors. But for now, because yes, I can run enough headlands on the end of this field where I could then turn around on my field. Like, it's a big enough field. Again, would I do it in this case where the guy hasn't planted anything, or, you know, there's nothing growing that I'd destroy? Probably not. I'd probably do exactly what I'm doing, and I'd expect him to do the same thing on my field if he needed to. Again, the reality is the way he's aligned with my field and the fact that he is a huge field, because that is field 74, which in an Own the Map challenge one day will be mine. You know, but if he does that, you know, if he had to, I'm not going to get all upset with him. Now, some people might, you know, and that's what I've always loved about Farming Simulator, or, you know, just any kind of sim like that, is you can set your own goals and make it what you want it to be. And so it's like, oh, I want to be accurate and I want to do whatever. Fine, play that way. And I do that for really short time because I find out very quickly, like, to me, that's, you know, this becomes the discussion I've had, and obviously we're getting close to the end here because I've got one row, so I'm going to try to not go on forever. This becomes the discussion I've had before of, at some point, you know, even when they design a sim or whatever, but certainly when you play a sim, if you make it too much like the real thing, it's no longer fun and a simulation. It's now just literally become a job that you're doing, and you're like doing a fake job, and it's like, okay, you know, so there's always that balance of, like, what do I want to do, and what will I do that makes sense for me. There we go. Everything is planted in oats, and so yeah, so I'm just not one that enjoys, you know, realism where, hey, I can't pull up to something and hit Q and connect to it. There are ways to play that way. FSN has mods that force you to play that way. I mean, they may have changed that, but when I played, like, yes, you had to get out and do manual attach, which still was just a button, for goodness sake. So, I mean, it was still a compromise, but, you know, it just wasn't like this. Like, you'd have to get out and basically hit Q. So, you know, you could argue, well, did it really matter? You know, you'd go over here and then you'd line up and then it would just pick it up and connect it anyway. It just, you had to get out and do it. So there's a manual attach mod, which I don't know that it's reappeared in 25. It probably has. I mean, I would imagine that's simple enough. It probably showed up right away. 10% damage, 3% damage, so we're okay. I'm glad we figured out how to get this silo working last time. So that'll work. But yeah, now that we've invested in a planter. Let me just make sure, because again, this is where I have a problem. So oat, 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 oat. Everything's oat. And yes, I'm not making weird sounds like some sort of weird, do I not have? Oh no, I do have soil information. I see. There's no yield because I haven't harvested. There was nothing to harvest on those fields. They were empty. Oh, wait a minute. Are those... Is that mine? So did I not finish? I may not. I don't know. Let me go see how big this is. Because I don't even know that I could tell what the difference is. So is this me too? It is. Okay, I can tell the difference. Alright. Guess we're not done yet. So, tag along with me. I don't even know where I am. It's in the back of my yard. These aren't fruit trees, are they? I don't think so. No. It's telling me barley growing, whatever. It's looking at my other stuff. So, okay. So this is why things like courseplay don't work. Because you've got fields like that on maps. So, anyway, we'll go over here. And again, we've got our spreader. That was another thing. So, like, I've got the equipment I need to kind of keep going. I'm probably going to go ahead. And again, this is where, yes, we're not going to be realistic, but I am not going to try to not knock this guy's corn down. So we have no crop destruction, so I can just go in there. And again, I'm planting. At least I think I'm planting. No, I'm worried I didn't plant for the little bit I went over, but I think I must have. Yeah, I'm planting. Like, there are seeds going in, so... Alright, so now we'll do this, and there's enough room, we just prove that to turn. But what I was worried is, I'm like, there isn't a division between the fields, but there is. But this is kind of the nature of these maps. It's literally like, I mean, it's probably bigger than a normal American push mower type thing. It might be 2 passes of a push mower. But it's not very big. But anyway, alright, so we'll have this, and then we'll have, you know, and to me, like, this is a little bit bigger field. I mean, you can see 79 over there. I had to look at the map down there. Like, that's almost like I should grow the crops for my family on there. Like, I should just, again, put, like, individual rows of things in and never harvest them. But we're going to try to use it because it's a numbered field that is in theory ours. My goodness. Are those weeds that are not going away? I would think with the planting that they would. Again, I don't have weeds on. I'm not looking to deal with all that. So, I don't know that I can do this in one pass. I don't think I can. Nope. No way. So, a couple more, but yes, this isn't bad. So again, when we have straight fields like this, like again, 77 would be a good one to maybe target next. It's right there. I assume that little piece is part of it. I don't know. We'll see when we get there. You know, and again, I'm doing what I can to, like, not be just a bozo and just run through his corn at full speed there. So yeah, I mean, it's that trade of, like I said, you play the way you want to play. And so yeah, I'm trying to be honest and respectful, but it's like, okay, I don't want that pressure of, oh, I've taken off half his crops, or he takes out mine, and I don't think the AI ever does that, but, Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at this because this is weird. But yeah, we used like 20 liters of seed. It says needs rolling, but it doesn't say anything about weeds, but those look like weeds. And again, maybe they'll go away, or maybe they'll just always be present. Like, it doesn't read weeds because we technically don't have them. Like, they're not enabled. So, oh, I see. There are the trees. I'm like, how did I run through these trees? And again, like, this isn't really a field I'd use, but it's there. I'm trying to not be ridiculous. And like leaving bags around there, that's where I'm gonna like mess things up in the future. I'll be like, what is that? Alright. So, there we go. And now, again, I guess I'll be a little cleaner. I'll put it over here, because if I don't need it, although I will, I'm gonna need fertilizer and stuff. And this is lime, I think. Or did I bring? No, that's right. I did bring fertilizer. Because right now this is, yeah, oh shoot, yeah, that's rented, but it's all in one day. So, we're probably going to let it go till the next day, and I'll do fertilizer in the morning. Well, I don't know, maybe, we'll see. It's only 6 o'clock, so I could probably go ahead and do it. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to kind of stop the time or slow it down substantially while I just wrap up, because I don't think it's fair if I'm trying to get a bunch of things done that the time blows by that way. Normally it won't matter, but yeah, I think the fertilizer is going to get knocked out super fast, so I'd like to do that. And yeah, it's getting dark, but it's all right. We'll get it done. And then maybe we skip September 2nd and 3rd because there literally won't be anything to do. So that might be what we have, but I'm assuming as we go along, we're going to need those 3-day months, and we'll see what they turn into, because I've never really played that way either, beyond just seeing how it worked and understanding it. Now, that might be one thing to try. I mean, you can do, like, I think 28 or 30-day months. That would be a nuts series, but it's like one of those if like you just start and you own like half the map already. Maybe that would be fun. I don't know. Drop a comment. Tell me what you think. Where you're working like 1,000 acres or something, and yeah, I need the entire month to do everything on it, but talk about repetitive. That would be repetitive. I mean, again, I do different crops for sure across like that much acreage, but there would still only be, like, there'd have to be some sort of an understanding or a plan. But anyway, so I'm thinking eventually, like, we're going to start filling up the 3-day months, and eventually we'll get to the point where there's just going to be a bunch of fields, like, we're just making money and we're buying fields, and we're never doing anything with them other than maybe harvesting them the first time when we buy them, and then they sit, because I can only get X amount of acreage done in 3 days anyway. But as we get closer to that, I guess, if I do have some folks who are regularly watching, always feel free on any of the series. Chime in with your thoughts. Are you enjoying it? What would you like me to do differently? Because again, it's one of those, like, if I am doing it, and I am doing it, yes, it's 5 speed instead of real time, so the days aren't incredibly long. But I think getting through a full day is kind of like what we had here. I think it's 2 episodes, or 3. And so, to get through a month will take 9 episodes, and, if I'm doing them even 2 a week, like, it's going to take a month or something to get through September. And that may not be interesting. I don't know. You let me know. But with that, we'll ask again. Please consider liking and subscribing if you hadn't heard that earlier on. And I will see you next time.